Today I'm gonna be doing my favorite books of 2018 video. So this is like kind of late because I like to do my 2018 favorites videos after the year's over, because not this year, this didn't happen, but a couple years ago I ended up reading Carry On like the last day of the year, and it ended up being one of my favorite books. I thought I'd start off with a few honorable mentions. I reread the Shatter Me series in 2018, and this is a reread, so which is why it's not on my list, but it was so much fun. I listened to the audiobooks, and the audiobooks are amazing. Not only is the narrator really good, but you can also hear in Shatter Me, there's a lot of times where she scratches out the words, and you can hear them doing that in the audiobook. It's so cool. Next, Binti. This book is so short. It's only like 80 pages, but it was so interesting. It's sci-fi, and I typically don't like sci-fi, but this one was really cool. And I also did a Goodreads review for this one, so I'll leave it down below. And Royal Wedding by Meg Cabot. This is the last book in the Princess Diaries series, and we see Mia all grown up and getting married, and it was so much fun reading this book, just seeing all of the characters again, how Mia has grown up and how she's like ruling Genovia and everyone. It was such a fun read, and it was a great conclusion to the series. Let's get into my top 10 books of 2018. So I'm gonna start from number 10 and go up. They're not necessarily ranked from how much I like them, except for number 1. Number 1 is the best one I read in 2018, but other than that, they're pretty much just ranked as to when I read them, not necessarily how much I like them. So number 10 is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I read this during the Fall into Fantasy Readathon. It was so much better than Six of Crows, and Six of Crows was amazing. We got so much more insight into all the characters. We finally got Wyling's point of view, and there was like amazing cameos from the Grissa series. I pretty much already said everything I want to say about this book in my Fall into Fantasy reading vlogs, so go check those out if you haven't seen them yet. I also read Pride during the Fall into Fantasy Readathon. I finished this so fast, and this is my favorite Evie's a Boy book now. I talk so much about this in my Fall into Fantasy reading vlogs and also in my November wrap up, so I'll leave that down below. Next, number 7, My Plain Jane by Brody Ashton, Jodie Meadows, and Cynthia Hand. This is like a parody of Jane Eyre, and it was so amazing. I talked about this in my October wrap-up, I believe. This was such a fun read. I love that it took the elements of Jane Eyre that I love so much and made them better. The problems of Jane Eyre, solved all of them in this book, and it was just so funny. I thought My Lady Jane was amazing, but this one was so much better. Next is this is number 7. My Plain Jane was number 8. The Darkest Mind series. So this is the novella bind-up. I have not read this yet. I actually still have not finished the Darkest Mind series, but I did manage to read The Darkest Minds and Never Fade in 2018, and I love them both so much. It's one of those OG YA series that I don't know why I never read it, because I've always heard so many people rave about it, but I'm so glad I finally did, and I loved it so much. The world Alexandra Bracken created is horrifying, but all of the characters in the series endure and survive so many horrifying things, and it's so captivating to read all their stories. Next, number 6 is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. So I listened to the audiobook for this, and Elizabeth Acevedo also narrated this audiobook. She's amazing. It's a book written in verse. Like, it tackled themes of like sexism, religion, powerful spoken word and poetry can be. It's about race and language and so many things. This book is so powerful and moving, and I loved every second of it. It got so many awards and accolades because it deserves every one of them. It was amazing. Next, the Miss Marvel comics. I started my first comic book series in 2018, and I decided to pick up the Miss Marvel series. I've heard so many amazing things about it, and I'm so happy I did because I loved it so much. I have not read this one. This is volume 6. She fights all the bad guys at night, and she goes to high school by day. I love that the main character is Pakistani. Family is Muslim, and so we get a little bit of discussion of Islam in this book. Cannot wait to read more. Number 4 is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I got to meet Adam Silvera, and I got this book signed, and oh my god, this book was amazing. This book is a freaking masterpiece. Adam Silvera absolutely outdid himself with this book. I've read all of his books now, and this one is my absolute favorite. I love the world that he created with Deathcast. It's so fascinating. The character development that he was able to pack into only 300 pages is amazing. Like, he did it so well, and all of the adventures they go on were so interesting. Once I started it, I could not put it down. I read most of this on like a long car ride, which says a lot because I get car sick really easily. Yeah, I risked getting car sick to be able to read this book because that's how much I wanted to keep reading it. Number 3 is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. So I read this because Booksplosion read this in I think May or something. I don't know when Booksplosion read this, but Booksplosion read this and they were always like raving about it, and it seemed interesting. This is a Cinderella retelling, and it follows a geek girl who has a blog dedicated to her favorite fandom, and she's really into fandom. I loved this book so much. This is my favorite Cinderella retelling I've ever read. Usually Cinderella retellings, I'm honestly like so sick of them. There's so many Cinderella retellings. They're not always done so well. All the talk about fandom and fangirls, and the way that was handled in this book was so good. The best handling of it I've ever seen in any book. It's amazing, and I never expected this to become one of my all-time favorite books, but it did. Number 2, The Dark Calling by Kresley Cole. Who's surprised? No one. Okay, maybe you, if you're new. 6th book in your Arcana Chronicles. This is one of my favorite series ever. The newest book that came out in 2018, and oh my god, I loved this book so much. My favorite of the series. Book 4 was good, but it felt so much like a filler. Literally nothing happened in book 4. There were like some really cute moments, but other than that, nothing really happened. But this book, whoa, a lot happened in this book. Goodreads review, so I'll leave that down below. I started reading the ebook of this book because I really wanted to read it so bad, and then I was like halfway through the book, and I was almost done with the book, and my book hadn't even come in yet. My number 1 favorite book of 2018, which is also one of my all-time favorite books ever, is I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, Erica L. Sanchez. Oh my god, this book takes place during senior year of high school for Julia, and she just lost her sister, and she discovers that her sister actually had a secret life that nobody in her family knew about. So she starts investigating her sister's secret life, and she finds out a lot of things. And then we also follow her during her last year of high school when she's applying for college. She's an aspiring author, and she really wants to go to New York to study creative writing. I saw so much of myself in Julia, and I've never read a book like this before that I could see myself in. This book was messy, it was brutal, it was emotional, it was everything. If books could be soulmates, this could be mine. So that's all for this video. Those are all my favorite books of 2018. I managed to read 75 books in 2018, so narrowing it down to 10 and like 3 honorable mentions was so hard. Comment down below what your number 1 favorite book of 2018, and if you can't choose, what was your top 3? My social media links are all down below, my Twitter, my Bookstagram, my Goodreads. Arrivederci!